Very good. So here we are. Hi, everybody. This is Judy McKee from McKee Consulting. And I am so excited that you have decided to participate with me in this Train the Trainer course because I have been other trainers for a long time. Welcome. Adbu. Oh, so good, so good. Here you are. They're coming in and it's not their fault. Okay. Yeah, it's not their fault. I thought I tested everything before yesterday and the day before. I did a practice session and everything, but I couldn't practice from your side. So obviously I did something wrong with regard to the video. But I will learn and I will find out what that does. Because usually I just came out of retirement. So I usually have people helping me. And this time I was all by myself. So when you leave me to myself, you probably are in a little trouble technically. Not with what I know about training and training other trainers. In this, I am an expert. But I would be delighted to learn anything new about you. And I know that when I made the sign-up sheet, I asked for very little information because I didn't want anyone to feel plugged in or like I was going to try to sell them something. And that's not my purpose here today. So I am going to open the screen so that you can see my slides. And I think I'm going to go up into the corner in a very little thing like that. Which that is another issue that I have right now, which is I can't figure out how to do a side-by-side on Zoom. Zoom, I love, but sometimes I get upset with it. And that's not their fault. It's because I personally am simply not a trainer who knows anything about, logistics in the technical world. And when I go onto Zoom, there must be 100 things you're supposed to click or not click. So I don't know what those things mean, most of them. And so I do it the simplest way that I possibly can. And I'm enjoying seeing you right now. I really am. I can see the gallery, but it just shows me your name. So because I didn't turn your videos on. So right now, all you get to see is me, but that's all right. You've got a lot to learn today. You don't need to see my face. I am an experienced trainer. I'm a master trainer. I trained the trainers at eBay. I trained the trainers at Discover Card. Many trainers at American Express. This was many years ago, of course. I trained a few trainers at IBM. I mean, I know my stuff. And so if you want to be a trainer or a really good coach, or even if you want to have ideas on how to teach various subjects like sales, customer service, closing skills, I am going to show you not only how to do it, but I will probably show you how to script it out as well. Not that you want anyone to read scripts. You do not want people to read scripts. It's a terrible way to communicate with people. However, it is very, very important that people do know what to say and how to say it. So that's what this course is going to be about. I am going to show you throughout this course, every Friday, I'm going to make a video. And every Friday, I'm going to take that video, I'm going to edit it, fix it up, and put it on YouTube. There you can go and see it over and over again. Now, I don't know how dedicated you are to being a trainer, but I will tell you that real training, I mean, it's like anything that really matters. It takes time to learn it, and it takes time to experience it so that you feel like you know your stuff, It's like a musician, they get a guitar. It doesn't mean they can play it. They can play a few chords, but it's going to take them quite a while to be able to be comfortable with those fingerings on the chord and how to strum it, and it takes practice. The same thing happens with anything that you really want to do well. And I didn't know that, of course, when I started. And you saw my little story, I hope, in the article that I sent about where I came from. But when I became a trainer in training other people, it was because I was a very high producer at a real estate company. And they thought I should be a manager of other people because I was such a high producer. That makes no sense, you understand. But I thought it was a promotion. I liked it. I took the job. But then what happened was I didn't like managing people. I mean, really, I didn't like managing people. They wouldn't do what I said. And I couldn't figure that out. That was my first lesson in training other people. If you're a private consultant, that is a real lesson to learn, which is people would rather be right than be rich. People would rather be right than have money. I don't know what's wrong with that. I don't know why they want that. It never matched up to my consciousness. So I didn't understand why, if I told them what to do to make money, they wouldn't do it. It made no sense to me. So as I was trying to read every book that I could find on how to be a good manager, because I have integrity, I wanted to be a good manager. But as it happened, the trainer got sick and they said, would you come in and help us out in the training? Now, I don't believe there are any accidents in the world ever. Everything absolutely happens on time and in order, even though you don't recognize it right away. I sure didn't. I pouted around going, do I have to do everything, sell real estate, manage everybody? And then on top of that, I have to go and train everybody else too. Does anybody else do anything? Anyway, it was quite a joy when I walked in front of the room, because I had been a singer in cocktail bars. I played piano and organ, and I sang for people. And it was really wonderful. And so I knew how to be in front of the room. I knew how to entertain people. And now I had to just use the data that I had from being successful at selling real estate, getting appointments really. And I started to do that. And in the process of doing that, they found out at the company that I wasn't using their manual. Well, I felt their manual was written by an accountant, because it was all about dialing for dollars. And they had a book this thick on how to hold an open house. You don't need a book that thick to know how to hold an open house. So I couldn't figure out why they would have such a large manual. But at any rate, I put their manual away and I taught them my things. And they became very, very good. They got more listings and more opportunities than the people that I managed, because the people I managed were hardened. You know, they were set in their ways and they didn't want to change. So what's happening here is that I'm going to share with you throughout my process of life as a trainer, what works and what doesn't work. I'm going to share my screen now because I want you to be able to see what's going on. So here it is. When you decide, you make a decision in your life, I'm going to be a trainer. Now, lots of people could attend this class. They don't actually have to be a trainer, because it's really about communication skills. The problem is that when you are communicating and you want to teach communication, no one's buying that. I mean, they really don't buy it. They say they want it. They say they want communication. They say they want to be happy and communicate with everyone, but they don't. They want to make money. And they want to be profitable and they want to be successful. So I'm going to show you in today's session how to get that to happen in the very first part of your training, that you get a buy-in, that you get to learn the most important lessons about opening a session. Because opening a session is tantamount to beginning the race. If you don't start the race, you certainly can't end the race. So it's like you want to win the lottery, but you have to buy a ticket. It's very simple. If you want to be a really good trainer, then your job has to be that you intend to produce results, and the best possible results you can produce. So let's see, what does it take to do that when you open a training session? All right, what is it going to be? What's going to happen? So I want you to see this. So here's the key. This is the key. Well, it's the key to the universe. The universe isn't actually locked. But the most important key is trust. If you cannot create trust between you and your trainee, then you have a problem, because everything has to happen within a trusted space. In other words, you want to be sure that you start by creating an environment that is trustable. You might not be trustworthy yet, but you could be trustable. And that's how I think of it. I think in this course, for instance, with you, one of the things I always want to say in the beginning is that if you take this course, you can win with it. You can win with it. I already won with it. If you take this course, you can enjoy it. You can have fun. You can participate with people in a brand new way. You're going to like that. We're going to learn how to establish a relationship in this course, how to relate with each other, as well as how to relate to our trainee or to someone we are coaching or someone we are trying to manage even. But we're going to learn how to create that safe environment where we can be trusted to give them what they need for their success. And when you get to the Llama technique and some specifics on script writing and sales and customer service words and phrases, I'm going to give those to you. That's where the logistical piece comes in, or where the specifics and measurables come in. The analytical people here in this audience, they want to know exactly what do I say and how do I say it, even though I'm not going to give it a name called a script. And so that's really important. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you create an environment in which you can create a safe environment? The safe environment is what you absolutely have to have. And if you start a session, I got to tell you this story. I went to a convention and I was a speaker at the convention, but then when I wasn't speaking, I went and attended some other people's lessons. And it was really fun. And when I walked in this one class, there was a man who was going to teach upselling and cross-selling. Now, I teach it too. So naturally, I wanted to see what other people had to say. And this man came out of the back room, walked out in front, I'm so-and-so and so-and-so from such and such and such and such. Now, the first thing I want to do is ask you a question. What do you want to learn about upselling and cross-selling? What? Now, no one answered this question. No one. No hand went up. Nobody was inspired to share with this man what they wanted. Most of them probably didn't know what they wanted. They want to be better at it, but they don't know what the question is to ask him. So in my mind, and he doesn't even know this, he made everyone in the room feel like they were wrong in some way or stupid in some way. And they didn't feel safe anymore because the question was hard to answer. They don't know why they came to the class. Maybe their boss sent them. Maybe somebody made them come. Maybe they haven't thought deeply enough about it yet. Maybe they'll say, I want to make more money. You know, everybody can say that. I mean, that's like so obvious. But what did they do it for? Well, I say that what they want to do, but they don't know this, is they want to learn how to communicate so that they, with their customers and their clients, can create a safe environment. And the same thing goes for you. Every word you say, every question you ask, I mean, take this down because this is the most serious that I'll probably be. I'll have a lot more fun than this, but I want you to get it. More than anything else, I really would like you to get it, that you as a trainer have to own the room. You have to own the room. When you walk in, you own it. It's your room. Now it's their training, so they can interrupt you. They can ask you for things you didn't prepare for. We'll talk about that a little later. But the idea is that whatever happens in that room, you own it. You know, when I used to do these big seminars, in the early days where there'd be 100 people in the room, I always had an assistant who was in the back of the room. And I would always tell my assistant, now, if anybody faints, grab them by the feet, pull them out of the room. I'm going to continue to move forward. I only have 40 minutes to teach these people something. And they would say, what? And I say, no, I mean it. I don't want to have to deal with it. If someone faints, you rush up, grab them, pull them out of the room, give them a glass of water, pat them on the cheek. I don't know, put something under their nose. Well, they thought I was laughing. They thought I was making fun. But what I was trying to say was, I own this room, and I don't have time for the deviations that can happen, because I've got a job to do and I've got to get the job done. So I said, if there's an emergency, you can come straight up the front aisle with a note in your hand that says emergency, and I will give you attention. But before you do that, look up in the dictionary what an emergency means. All right. Now, here's the thing. You want to create a safe environment. You don't really want to disrupt people. You know, that's the new thing and the most recent, you know, people are writing books about it. No, here's what you want. Are you ready? Psychological safety. Oh, I wish I had thought of that expression 20 years ago. I always called it a safe environment. It has to be safe. So if that trainer, for instance, had come out in front of the room and said, "Hi, everybody, my name is Judy McKee, and I'm with McKee Consulting, and I'm here to kill the bad rap on telemarketing. So one of the things that I'm going to show you how to do is to upsell and cross-sell without being pushy, without being, without going too fast, or without making the customer uncomfortable, without making the customer shout at you or anything like that." That's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm going to show you a soft skill, a way that you can help the customer. And if your product does not help the customer, then you have to have integrity and not sell it. Don't sell things that don't help other people. That's just wrong. That's just ugly. I would never want to do that, and I don't want you to do it either. So create a safe environment. Now, I will tell you this, that I had to learn this of the hard way, and the hard way is probably the best way. But I'm telling you, I could save you a lot of time in becoming a good trainer if you would every day write down a list. Now, this is how I did it, and you can do it too, or you could just believe me. But you probably aren't going to just believe everything I say. But I will tell you something. I don't teach what doesn't work. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in people's opinions. What I'm interested in is that other people who work with me are successful. That gives me such a hit. I love that. That's why teachers become teachers. They like to see their students do well, their trainees get excited, or their salespeople sell more, and the teacher and the trainer gets the hit. But I had to learn that, and I didn't have a teacher myself because, well, I did have a teacher for speaking, but not for the content. The content of my training was really an opposite content of what they trained me in, because I was trained by those 50s salespeople, make everybody say yes to what you say, or ask them a question they have to answer the way you want them to, or be pushy because whatever I don't know, but whatever it was, I hated it. And so I didn't want to do that, so I didn't do it. What I did was I started making every customer, every client, every possible client, every prospective client feel like they were right to talk to me. Now, I didn't win every case. I had a few salespeople say, "Well, I tried your way, Judy, and I didn't close that deal." And I said, "Well, but you had a chance to close it. You had a chance." That's what you're always looking for, is the chance to do a good job, the chance, and to create for yourself the best possible environment in which you could teach somebody something else. That's your goal. So I used to make a list every day, and I want you to do this. I really mean this. Every day, take the time to take out a piece of paper, and on the piece of paper, you write what worked, what didn't work. What worked, what didn't work. Not what was right and what was wrong. See, that's what people do most of the time. Oh, that wasn't right. Oh, that was wrong. Oh, that was messed up. Oh, that didn't work. Well, it didn't work is good. Find out what works. The key word is what works and what doesn't. If you can find out what works and what didn't work, you don't blame yourself. You don't feel guilty. You're not in trouble. What you do then is say to yourself, "Oh, that didn't work. That question didn't work. If I were that trainer that I spoke of earlier, I would have said, you know what? No one responded to that question. I must not be asking the right question. Not there's those people are stupid and dumb. They don't see their opportunity. No, I'm not going to make them wrong. I'm going to make them right. I'm going to say, what question would give them the opportunity to say something and engage with me? So I had to have a better question. Well, what would the question be? If I wanted to teach cross-selling and upselling, I might ask a question like, when you end a phone call, do you ask the question that opens up the upsell or cross-sell before you say thank you or after? What do you do? Hello, come on, tell me what you do now. And then someone would say, well, we always say, thank you so much, Mr. Customer. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. And then we say, we do have this other product that you might be interested in. And I say, great, thank you. That's very good, except for one little thing. Aren't they usually hanging up? And they go, yeah, most of the time they're hanging up already. I'm talking to a blank phone. And I say, that's right. So let's just do what would work better. What do you think? I don't know what to do. I said, okay, I'll teach you today how to do it. And what we're going to learn to do is to seed that question up in the beginning of the call. We're going to seed it. We're going to say, we're going to tell you something about new we have later. You're going to really like it. Now, how can I help you, Mr. Customer? So that when you get to the end of the phone call, you can now say, oh, remember that new thing I told you? Now, I haven't said, is there anything else I can get for you today? No. I just said, oh, remember that thing we talked about in the beginning? And then I tell them what I have. I have an open door, an opportunity. I created a safe environment. I didn't sound pushy. I was able to allow them to do that. Now, that's what that trainer ought to have discovered that day if he did what I'm telling you to do, which is to make a list of what works and what doesn't. That's all. The question didn't work. He wanted people to respond. It didn't work. Okay? And now what I just did with you is I came out of my experience. So I told you what happened to me, how I saw that happen. And when that happened to him, I immediately examined all the questions I asked people from the front of the room because I want my questions to work. There is an art to asking a good question. There really is an art to it. But it always has to create a safe environment. If people look stunned or they're hiding their face or they're going away from you or they're doing something else, your question has to be safe. Your statements have to be safe. Your lessons have to be safe. Everything has to be safe. Everything. I wish it were easier, but actually it's quite easy once you learn it. Yeah. So this is the rule. Never make your trainee feel wrong or stupid. Because the moment you make them feel wrong or stupid, they are no longer feeling safe. So in my case, I remember I had a video trainer who was training me, and he saw me take my glasses off and on and off and on and off and on, and he made me wrong. And then he told the whole audience what would they like to, what was their opinion of my presentation, and they all made me wrong. Oh, well, that was really good, Judy, except for this. Now, when that happened to me, I realized I don't like their opinions. I don't like their what they call constructive criticism. I always find criticism to be very destructive. I would much prefer to be patted like a dog, did good, Judy, you did good, Judy. Then I'll do more of the good and less of the bad. Now, I want to look at a couple of notes here I have. So one of the things, and we'll do this later on in the training, but at this point, when I'm telling my trainees, never make the customer feel wrong or stupid. Always make the customer feel right and smart to talk to you. That's what they want. Now, right here in the training, and I don't have time here today, I tell a story that takes about 5 or 10 minutes. And why? Because this is the most important part of any relationship with any customer, any client, any sweetheart, any coach or coachee, that you have to create that safe environment. And the way to do it is not to make them feel wrong or stupid, but to learn that in the core of you. You've got to learn that because most of us want to be right. I mean, I want to be right, don't you? Yeah, we all want to be right. But being right isn't going to get you what you want in life. I'm sorry. You just have to pay attention. All right. You just have to pay attention. All right. We'll tell, but you need a story. And in the next session, I think I'll tell that story because it takes a little while and I want to be sure you get it. But if you start by thinking, how can I make my students and trainees right? How can I make my students and trainees feel really good that they came into this training room today? Well, now I'm going to give you some tips on that. All right. First of all, always dress straight. You can act weird, but dress straight. Dress in a healthy way. Dress in a way for where you're going. Never dress weird and try to act straight. By straight, I mean on purpose, doing your job. Don't look sloppy and then teach people to pay attention to detail. It doesn't work. You're not showing the example. All right. So the lessons from now on will be all about how you can have fun in the training room. You can make jokes in the training. I wouldn't use sarcasm. I think it's despicable, but I would make jokes. But most of the jokes would be on me. I wouldn't make jokes on other people because, like I said, they can't take it. Anytime you make someone wrong or stupid, believe me, they feel it and they don't like it. All right. So in the first hour of your course, whatever course you're teaching, be sure that you define the words. Any words that you're going to use thoroughly and constantly throughout the training, you really do need to put out the definitions. Now, why you need to do this is because you need to have your trainee on the same page with you. If I said I was going to discuss upselling and people don't know what upselling is, but you assume everybody knows what upselling is, this is an error on your part and you own the room. So what you have to do is say, today we're going to talk about cross-selling and upselling. Those two things are going to be covered, maybe even downselling. I don't know. We could have time for that. But for sure, we want to know that cross-selling is someone buys one item, one hamburger, okay, and you upsell them to the fries. Would you like fries with that? The $6 billion words that McDonald's started. They did. You ordered a burger. They said, would you like fries with that? Yes. Billions and billions of dollars with one question. Because they're smart. And now, if you want to sell 2 burgers, there's a commercial on television right now for one of the big major hamburger places, and he can't decide, and everybody's beeping the horn behind him. Get going, place your order. And so he says, okay, 2 burgers. I'll have them both. All right. So upselling is selling more of the same. Okay. And I'll teach you how to do that. It's really a wonderful thing. It can it will build your sales so quickly that you'll be shocked at how quickly you can up the numbers on the winning side of how much are you going to make. Okay. And then downselling is when they don't buy the high price item you wanted to sell them, and you can sell them something for a little lower fee and still get the job done. All right. So definitions, whatever you're training, be sure you write out the definitions, no jargon, no kidding. I want to look at the time here. Oh, we're doing so good. Okay. So no jargon, at least not with inexperienced or newbies or new people. Or even if you have one new person in the class, that person could feel wrong if you start saying, well, the ACI or the, ABC isn't working. They don't know. They feel wrong. You don't know. Well, the key here really is this. You do not know the self-esteem level of the people you're talking to. It's key in being a good trainer that since you don't know, you make it safe for them anyway. So when you come to definitions, you say, I know most of you know all the definitions, but let me just be clear about what I mean by CRS. Customer service representatives. That's what I mean. All right. CRS. That's what that stands for. I don't want to have to say those big long words all through the whole training. All right. Good. You got it. And thank you, John, for coming today. I hope you will learn a lot. Give them an acknowledgement for admitting that they didn't know if they did. All right. Now, so once you get the definitions down, and that's very, very important, write it down. I'm going to put definitions into my training. And in my case, in my training, I would always define what intention is. I would define what a relationship is because I teach it. I would define what self-discipline is because all my training has something about that. And I would define the Lama technique as to how it works and what the words in the Lama mean. I would take time to do that. And I would put a story in whenever there was something emotional or something that I really wanted them to take home. I want them to take it home. You as a trainer have to come out of your experience all day long. Come out of your experience. Otherwise, you're a facilitator. I mean, you can open up a manual and you can read the students the manual, but they can read too. So it's not very impressive. It doesn't go deep. And what you want to do is go deep when you want someone to really learn something, because your joy is really when they learn it and they do it without you. You're not going to be there tomorrow. When they're on the phone talking to the customer, you're not going to be there. Or if you're a coach, maybe you are going to be there, but even then you don't want to parent them. You don't want to be a parent. You want them to grow up. I go to these major institutions and it's so funny to hear management talk about the people they manage. Supervisors, the word supervisor I hate. I've always hated it. I say children require supervision. Adults do not. They require training and coaching. So what I want you to do is I want you to be sure that when you open up the training, you include the definitions so that everybody's on the same page. And so that you then also, what I would do is include the personality styles. The 4 basics. I would never miss the 4 basic personality styles. And I did it here with you, but you probably didn't even notice because I don't know who's there in the audience. I don't know. And so what happens is I would always say something in my opener that would bring in and get a buy-in from the dominant personality style. Now, I can tell you the truth, in most of my trainings, except for high-end sales trainings, I don't have a lot of dominant people in the room. I might have a manager or two who are sitting in the back, and I'm thinking they're probably dominant. Or there's someone working their way up, and so they came in, they're new to the job, but they're really a dominant personality. They are a leader, and they want to go, 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 go. So in my course, and you can write this down in your workbook, I would say something about winning and doing things quickly, because the dominant wants to win and they want to do it fast. Now, I'm not teaching the behavioral styles, so I'm not going to go into all the things that work with the dominant style and all the things that don't work. If we get a chance in this training, I will do that, but not at the beginning and the opening. All I want to do in the opening is grab that driver, that dominant personality, that director, the manager. I wanted him to come in and play with me. And I own the room, so I have to invite him. And when I invite him, I want him to feel safe. So I'm going to say something about, what the great thing about this training is you can win if you use the techniques. You can win. And it doesn't take that long. So now I've got that person covered. Now, the next person I want to cover is the person like me, that influencer or the social one, the one who wants to have fun and talk throughout the whole training. That person, I want them involved. I don't usually have any problem with them because they love me, because they are like me. They are just like me. And they like that. They like to be like me. They think this whole training was invented just for them. And so that person wants to have applause. So what I would say is in the opener, I would say something like, the great thing about this is it's not that hard. It can be a lot of fun, and you will be acknowledged. You'll do such a good job. You'll get that hit that you really want. It will happen to you. And you will have to work, but not that much, because you're probably doing it yourself already. You just don't know that you're doing it. And if you don't know that you're doing it, then if it ever goes wrong, you don't know what to fix. No. So I want you to write down what works and what doesn't work every day. Every day. Take a few minutes. What worked today? What didn't work? And then do not do what doesn't work. That's all that easy. The next person I want to be sure I invite and that I want you to invite into the room are the steady, stable relator personalities. These are your customer service reps, nurses, people who help other people, people who want to relate to other people, people who their children still live at home with them after they're grown up. They are the salt of the earth people. They are the people who manage every call center. They are the people who do all the work in all those call centers. They do all the work that the driver says do and the inspirational or influencer sells. They do the hard work. So you've got to be sure you tell them in this training, you're going to learn how to relate to people better. You're going to learn how to keep a communication going with someone that may be even making you uncomfortable. You're going to learn that in this course, and it's going to feel so good to you. You're going to build your own self-esteem throughout this course. And then the last personality style that I would include in the opener of a training is the compliant, or the C, the analytical. In this case, I'm going to give them something specific. I'm going to say the great thing about this training is that it has the Lama technique in it, which is 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Learn how to do it. It's 4. That's it. And once you learn those 4 steps, you can make a difference on every single call. Not only that, but quality control checkers can hear, did they listen? Did they acknowledge? Did they make a statement? Did they ask a question? They Lama. Good. Lama, Lama, Lama. Over and over and over on the phone. So it makes their job easier. And they can get a check sheet and check Lama, Lama, Lama. Now, the analyticals just love that. And by the way, at the end of that, I would say, thank you for coming, because I want you to know you did the right thing. You backed the right horse. You came to the right course. You came to the course that's going to make you more successful. It's going to help you to win. You're going to be applauded by everybody. You're going to have relationships with all of your customers, and you're going to be able to keep track of the numbers and the successes that you have. Now, with that sentence, I just covered D, I, S, and C. You need to learn how to do that too, because otherwise you're not including everybody in the room. And I learned this myself, because when I first started training, all the high I's, that was me, my style, they all loved me, came back. They couldn't have a happier day because they were in their own place, and so was I. At the end of the day, people will walk out of the training room and say, oh, I love being in the training room with you, Judy. Yeah, we were there all day. And when I started, I thought, oh, no, I have to stay here all day. But now they didn't have to stay all day. I mean, they had to stay all day, but they were going, I don't want to go home now. This training is over, but I wish it wasn't over. I really had a great day. I was never bored a minute. I loved it. But the high Ds wanted to know, when are you going to get to the point, Judy, in the very beginning? The high S's, I was able to relate a lot to them, so they stayed. And the analyticals didn't see any point in staying with me, because they would turn around and say to me something like, you said there were 3 things and then you only gave us 2. See, they were keeping track. So then I realized they loved me, but they weren't taking the training out there and making it work for them. Well, what good is it? Okay, this isn't sing a song for everybody, Judy. This is training everybody. So it didn't work just to be adorable and wonderful and funny and happy in front of the room. They had to engage with me, and they had to engage in a way that they learned how to do something new and something better, so that they would go home saying, I'm going to try that in my next phone call. I'm going to try that. And since they do that, then they come back later and they tell you it really worked. All right. So that's so, so important. Now, so today I would remember this. Every training has to start with your intention. Now, I would explain what intention is. Now, in my case, I always say determined in advance. Now, you can write that down. My intention is determined in advance. So I've already thought about what I want to happen out of this 1 hour training course right here. I've already thought about it. And the reason in another way, I created this master class for you trainers and coaches is because it's my thing. It's what I do. It's what I love. And being retired, when I woke up, I'd go, what am I going to do today? And I'm certainly not going to watch soap operas or binge on some movie thing on Netflix. There's no hit on that. And I want the hit. Everybody wants the hit. So I said, I'm giving myself a purpose at my age. Yeah, I'm older, but I'm smart. I am. I'm very smart. And I do what works. I don't do what doesn't work. I forget what doesn't work. I dump it. I leave it. I don't look back. I don't look at history and look for evidence. Or if I notice that I'm looking for evidence to make myself right instead of getting the job done, I will stop in the middle of my tracks. Say, wait a minute. I'm not dialing for dollars here. This is my training. And the way that I do it is I teach people my Lama technique. My Lama technique is famous in call centers. And it is losing its, potency on the bedpost. It's like you're chewing gum on the bedpost overnight. It's losing its grip. And that's because my trainers that I've trained for 30 years, they're all graduated on into other things. And I have a few major people, by the way, who call me on a pretty regular basis, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, to tell me they're still using the Lama, that they will never forget the Lama. I have letters. I get them every once in a while. Judy, I use the Lama technique. You should actually use it all your life. And I will teach you the Lama technique. And I will say, you may use it all you wish. The only people that I really don't want to, it's not that, I just don't want them to hurt themselves with a copyright infringement. So if it's like a big company like Discover Card or someone like that, if they've got someone in the audience here, they should pay for a little license fee to use the Lama, just so that they keep legitimate. Believe me, I don't have attorneys. I'm not going to fool around with it at all. I'm not interested, but I am interested in that people learn the Lama because it works. It's in the column of what absolutely, positively works. And when you know, that's the key. And I want to see you get better. And I will put you on video next time as soon as I figure all this out. So my personal joy and satisfaction comes from your success. It really does. I'm not happy unless I'm making somebody else rich. I love that. I'm already rich. It's not that I'm rich, but I've taken care of myself. I can retire and be okay. It's also fun to make the slides and be bossy. I didn't write that on the screen. I didn't want to, but telling other people what to do is great, especially when you know, and you know. So now I want to talk just for a few minutes. Let me look at the clock again. I'm doing great. I want you to know the difference. There's an old samurai saying that says, know the difference between a gain and a loss. That's the number one Musashi list. The number one rule in the world of Book of Five Rings, or people who've thought about these things for thousands of years. We are only a couple hundred years old. We're making all kinds of mistakes everywhere because we're young. We're babies. We're in the crib. But the masters that have been doing this for hundreds of years, thousands of years, they do know the difference between a gain and a loss. And sometimes we, who are young, excited, we want to be a teacher, we want to be a trainer, we don't know the difference between a gain and a loss. Now, I'm not making anybody wrong. I'm just saying you've got to pay attention to that. So it's very important that you define to yourself, what is a teacher? and what is a trainer? Now, a teacher offers information. This is like second grade. Here's the information. A facilitator often does the same thing. They show the facilitator, they show the slides with all the little boxes on them and what have you. And they say, if you do this, and if you do that, and if you do that, you will get this. And maybe they have numbers that will work. I mean, I get ads daily from people who want to sell me a list on the internet. Oh, we're going to sell you this list and your business is going to grow and all you have to do is pay for the list. See, now, here's the key. I know the difference between a gain and a loss. I am not going to buy a list with 30,000 names. I'm going to say, why don't you run the list? Why don't you get the people for me? And then I'll pay for that. They don't want to do any of the sales work. They just want to provide the list. And that's fine. And if that's what you're up to, go ahead. But it's not going to make you rich, which is why I have to get 10 of these a day. Because it's not making them rich. They're selling them out to millions of people. They're doing what I call dialing for dollars. They're emailing for dollars. Just doesn't have the same ring that dialing for dollars does. They're happy to sell me the names of everybody who could ever buy my service. Heck, I'd rather use Psychic Pizza than that. It's less work. I just think of who could be in the class and they're there. The teacher offers information and a learning experience, and the trainee didn't know the answers, didn't know. So that is what a teacher does. And you do teach in a training program. You do. And I will teach quite a bit of things here too. But a trainer, what does a trainer do? I'm telling you, in that pretty good picture of me a few years ago, darker hair. The trainer pulls out of other people what they already know and adapts it to the course. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in the old days, I used to say, I'm not a suit. So if you made up your mind that I'm a suit because I'm wearing a suit, and you decided somewhere in your mind that suits are boring, or suits don't know what they're doing, or suits don't please me, or something, whatever it was, you judged me because I was wearing a suit. I just wanted you to know I did the same with you. I judged you too, and I had to get off it, but you didn't. So I get off it. What I mean by getting off it, I didn't define getting off it, but getting off it means I'm not going to hold my evidence to make myself right at the end of this conversation. I'm not. I'm going to look at what worked and what didn't work, and I'm not going to do what didn't work anymore. That's all there is to it. Simple. Very simple. Life is so simple. It's just that we complicate it to beyond belief. So I know, see, here's what I know. I know that people want to do a good job. I already know that. They don't get up in the morning, take a shower, and get the kids off to school and go to work because they want to do a bad job. No, of course not. They just need training, and people aren't training them anymore. They're assuming they know things. They don't know things. I went to train this big, huge dental service firm a few months ago. And the training was to start at 9 o'clock. I got there at 8:30, and the room wasn't going to be ready until 9. Now, in the olden days, I wouldn't have to have told that to anyone. I wouldn't have to say, give me a half hour to set up the room. They booked meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting on the schedule that's on their computer. Oh, someone else has the room from 8 to 9, so we'll take the room from 9 to 4. And since then, I've told my daughter, Sally, who's in business with me, I said, from now on, we have to tell them to have the room ready at 8:30 and at the end of the training to still be open for a half hour after the training so that we can clean up and get out of there. Because here's what happened because no one did that. I got there at 8:30 and I can't get into the room to get the training ready, to get the handouts ready, to set up the slides. I can't do any of that. And at about 5 minutes to 9, some of the trainees started to show up. Now they have to stand on one foot and the other outside of the training room, waiting, wondering why we're not ready yet. Because it's in their schedule to be there at 9 o'clock or whatever the time was. Yeah, 9 o'clock. And so they're waiting. And who do you think they're making wrong? Me. They think I'm not starting on time. Why am I not starting on time? And I can't make other people feel wrong or stupid. And by the way, it was even worse than that. In that training room was the vice president of the whole company having a meeting. And he ran overtime. He ran into about 10 after 9. Now, I wanted to make everybody wrong there. But instead, I took it on myself and said, I've got to remember that these younger people are scheduling meetings like that. One right on top of the other with nothing to brace off in between, nothing to relax, no time to take a 5-minute break to use the facilities or walk from one room to another. They're not giving themselves this leeway anymore. It's not working for them, but they haven't seen that yet. They will see it and they will start to fix it, but that's not working. But I don't have time to wait for that. So from now on, Sally and I send instructions on what time to open the room, how long it takes to set it up, when we will actually start the training, and when we will end the training, and when the breaks will be, and how long the breaks will be, and how long will lunch be, and how long, when the workbooks will be sent for reprinting, when the printing will be completed, when the printers will deliver it, how we're covering everything, and we're doing it for them because they are not doing it. And I don't know why, and I don't have time, but remember this, I'm not interested in what doesn't work. It doesn't work to do it their way. It works to do what I tell them to do in a list. And then they have a checkoff list and they can just do it. And they do, by the way. They do. It's so interesting. So you need to create trust in the room. You need to offer evidence of how you learned it, which is what I've done a little bit so far. I gave you a little bit of my history, not my whole life story, but you're not interested in that. I was a salesperson. I was a sales manager. I was a sales trainer. I got fired when they found out I didn't use their manual because their manual was pushy and ugly. I didn't like it at all. So I rewrote, they fired me. And so I left. And it was funny because Michael Gibson, a man who fired me, he said, well, we still want you to be the manager and work here as sales. And I go, oh, I get it, but you caused me to lose face now. I'm embarrassed. I don't like that feeling. And so I'll be out of here in 20 minutes. And he goes, Judy, really, we're not firing you from the other things. I said, no, but it's hurt me. And I don't think I can go back to my desk without making you wrong and stupid. And I think you're wrong and I think you're stupid. So I've got to leave because I trained those 30 people and they did a great job. They're wonderful. They did more than the people I manage. And so I can't stay here because I have a word in my heart and my integrity says I can't make you wrong or stupid. So I have to get out of here while my mouth is still closed. And I got a box and I put all my stuff in it. I walked out. Everybody's going, Judy, where are you going? Don't leave us. Don't leave us. I said, you'll do all right without me. I'm leaving. And I walked out, got in my car, drove around the corner on the backside of Ventura Boulevard in Studio City. And I cried in my car for a couple of hours at being, why don't I fit in? Why didn't it work? Until I realized, again, no mistakes. I went home that day and my husband said, well, if you think you're so smart, why don't you start your own training? And that's exactly what I did. And I never looked back, ever. I even wrote Michael Gibson a couple of great letters over time, telling him how lovely it was that he fired me. That was the best thing. I might have stayed on and not learned what I learned. I love teaching other people. I love training. I love pulling out of them what I know that they know. They want to do it right. They want to have integrity. They want to be truthful. They want to be happy. They want to sell more, but they don't want to be pushy, but they think selling more is pushy. So we have to teach them how to sell more without being pushy. It doesn't work anyway. You know, this used car dealership, which I ended up not training, not because they didn't want me, but because I didn't want to train them. And I gave up a very lucrative job there. But they wanted me to ask questions of teach the salespeople to ask questions like, how do you feel about safety? What kind of a question is this? It's an insult. It's an assumption. It's assuming you care about safety. Because when you say, well, I care a lot about safety, then you sell me all the safety equipment. And they had many of those types of questions that they used at this dealership. And I said, I can't train people in that. I'll never train them in that. I will train them in making a customer for life who not only buys a car today, but buys one next year and the year after and the year after, and won't have any salesman but me because I create a safe environment. And they like to be with me. I teach people for a lifetime. I want them to have a lifetime. All right. So you've got to prepare for every training. I'm sorry, it's part of the deal. So you write down my purpose and theirs. What is their purpose and your purpose? Be determined in advance to produce the thing that they want. That's why in the opening, it's always good to find out what do they want. Now, by the way, in the opener, if I wanted to ask the question, look at my time here, almost done. If I wanted to ask the question, what do you want to get out of this training? I would first of all suggest all the things that were available so that the answer is easy. You know, in this training, you can learn communication skills. You can learn upselling, cross-selling, customer service care, relationship to the customer, how to engage the customer in a wonderful, warm, and friendly way, how to sell more and have a great day that works quickly for you, how to kill the dead air and get a better quality call form. I can teach you that today. Now, what do you want to get? And hands will go up. I want better communication skills. Okay. See, I gave them the answer before I asked the question. All right. Now let's talk about this. I don't have any more time. I have to get out of here now because I promised to keep my word. So I'll talk more about this next week, but work from the overflow. And remember, whenever you're creating a course, get all your ducks in a row before. And I wanted to just I might send you this slide. A room set up should be so that people can see each other. I don't have time to do any more. So it is 2 minutes. So wait a minute. Something I wanted to tell you, because I don't know which one of you are working for other companies or whether you are on your own. So in case you're on your own, I want to give you a few tips here. How much money can a trainer make if they're working for a company? Well, I looked it up on Google, and in California, anywhere from $67,500 to $137,000. Now that's average. I think you can make more than that. And I think a lot of the trainers do make more than that because they teach sales. And whenever you teach sales, you can remember that you can take a piece of the action. Now, in this case, llama trainers, the ones who I've trained, they make anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 a year. Now, why? Because they're independent. We have one wonderful person who worked for us for about a year, and we paid her $50,000, $60,000 because she was training to be a trainer. And that was like $10,000 more than she made where she was working when she came to work for us or with us and be trained as she was an assistant. And then she got an offer for another job for $80,000. And of course we said, go for it. And now at that same company, she has changed into being a mass producing trainer, and she makes about $200,000 a year now. That's what you can do. Now, if you're a private consultant, and I don't know how many of you are, but if you're a private consultant, the thing that you've got to remember is they have to learn how to sell it. That's why these people, there are 10,000 coaches and, 100 of them are working. The rest of them, I don't know what they're doing. But they are not making money being a coach because you see, they have to sell it. And that's the hard part. They should come to this class and learn how to sell it. I would teach them. All right. And now this is the last question. Is it hard to be a sales trainer? Yes, it is. And why? Because you have to prove you know what you're doing. You can't just read the manual and facilitate it. You can, though, in the end, take a piece of the action, because I can tell you something I did not do early on, and it was a mistake, and I learned from it. When I trained Discover Card in retention, and I saved millions or thousands of people from leaving Discover Card, I was getting $1,000 a day. And I trained their trainers for $1,000 a day. I did work for them for 5 years, probably 3 or 4 or 5 times a year. But I never took any piece of the action. And I didn't know any better then. But today I would. I'm so certain that the numbers are going up by 5 to 20%, that I would tell them if they do what I tell them, they're going to get rich. No kidding. Thank you for being here with me today. I love that you came. You can write to me. You can write to me and tell me what you want to get out of this training. As you know, you've heard me say all the things that are available to you. So if you write them down, you have a really good chance of me covering it in a way that you will have time to do it. I love you. And I don't mean I love you like, ooh, I love you. I mean, I love that you care about your career and that you're about to take it to a quantum leap. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I will put this up on YouTube as soon as I look through it and watch it. And then everybody who signed up can then come at their leisure, which, by the way, is something I already knew would happen. That people will come because when they're ready, they get busy and they don't come, but they will go to watch it on YouTube at their convenience. And that's okay with me too. It is. I don't care how they learn it. I just care that today they go away knowing they need to make a list of what worked and what didn't work. Every time they do a class, they need to know the difference between a trainer and a teacher. They need to know what's the difference between a gain and a loss. They need to do what works and not do what does not work. They need to start their training with intention and create a safe environment. If you can do that out of lesson number 1, you will be so far ahead of the game and you will be happy to be there. All right, I'm done for today. I'm going to go have some more fun other than training you. All right, bye everybody. This is Judy McKee, and you can write to me at judym@mckeeconsultingllc.com. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Bye-bye.